Hello friends, good evening. Welcome to the weekend current affairs discussion. This discussion is known as the Sapthamruth. Sapthamruth, what is meant by this? We have taken this from the so-called Panchamruth of Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Sapthamruth means we are compiling the so-called 7 days current affairs exclusively from the so-called prelims component, and from now onwards we are going to release this series every weekend so that those students who are looking for prelims component current affairs, this will be like Amrut for them. So this is going to be a short series where we'll be focusing exclusively on the so-called prelims for prelims current affairs series, weekly current affairs exclusively for prelims 2023 students. Right, those who have missed the current affairs daily that we are making, you can have a watch at this and you can note it down. So this is our channel, Dhanush Do It Now. Please subscribe to that channel. So this is the week 1 where we are starting this exercise from today, and this current affairs contains the past 1 week current affairs, that is from September 12th to September 18th. The earlier current affairs for prelims 2023, that is up to September 12th, we try to cover in the upcoming videos, but from this week this will be a regular exercise. So this is Dhananjay Reddy. Let's enter into the discussion. Swami Vivekananda's Chicago speech in 1893. Recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi remembered the speech that was given by Swami Vivekananda at Chicago on September 11th, 1893. Swami Vivekananda has addressed the World Parliament on the so-called religious parliament in Chicago. So September 11th, 1893 is the year. Now he is the man who have introduced the concept of India's Vedanta to the Western world, right? And he has addressed that in the world's parliament. Now where it is important for prelims. How it is important? National Youth Day is celebrated on his birthday, that is called January 12th. He has written some books called Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga. These are the books of this person. And then he is the one who has introduced Vedanta to the West. As I said, he is the founder of the so-called Ramakrishna Matam and Ramakrishna Mission. These are the things which are important about Ramakrishna, about the so-called Swami Vivekananda as far as history is considered. Now you remember this quotation: I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal toleration, but we all accept all religions as true. As said by Swami Vivekananda, at times you can use this, the great person of India who made really India's religion to spread towards all the parts of the countries, all parts of the globe in the modern era, is Swami Vivekananda. So what are the important things? September 11, 1893, books written by him. What are the foundations that he has written, or what are the foundations that he has made? The second one is, this is about some reports that was released in last week. The first report is the global estimates of modern slavery. This is the report given by International Labour Organization, International Organization for Migration, and International Human Rights Group Walk Free. Human Rights Group known as Walk Free, 3 of them: International Labour Organization, International Organization for Migration, and Walk Free has given this concept called global estimates on modern power slavery. And they said that 50 million in the world is living from slavery, and 2 forms of slavery is more dominant today. One is forced marriages and forced work. These 2 things are present. No need to remember that. Just remember global estimates of modern sovereignty is given by these 3 organizations. Recently, the 2021 Human Development Index report was given by the so-called United Nations Development Program. UNDP has given Human Development Index. In that, India ranked 132 out of 199 countries. So what are the parameters that we use for Human Development Index? There are 3 parameters that we use. The first parameter is, it is the geometrical mean of the so-called standard of living, which is measured by per capita income, mean years of schooling, and life expectancy. Right, this is what the parameters. Apart from that, UNDP also gives another report such as inequality adjusted HDI. Along with HDI, you have IHDI, you have gender development index, gender inequality index, and the so-called multidimensional poverty index. So these are the parameters or reports which is given by UNDP. Please remember that reports are very important for UPSC. International Energy Agency has given a report known as World Energy Employment Report. Very important, remember this. World Energy Employment Report is given by International Energy Agency. IEA said how many people are employed in the energy sector. More than 65 million people are employed here, more than 50% are in clean energy sectors. So IEA gave this report. 3 reports which are important for prelims. Next context is the so-called an improved bill but still contentious. Government of India is trying to come out with an act to replace the so-called 1908 Act of Indian Ports Bill. Now, that bill was in the draft stage, hence no need to remember the provisions. Just look at these two components. In India, you have major ports and non-major ports. Major ports are mentioned in the union list and they are under the jurisdiction of central government. Non-major ports are in the concurrent list and comes under the respective state governments. But the center will be having overriding powers because concurrent list, no anyone can make the law. Right? This is important. Major ports come under union list, non-major ports come under concurrent list where you will be having both the powers. So this is the thing. Let's move to the next one. Now, adoption rules were changed in India. There is one international convention for adoption that is called Hague Convention. Just remember, Hague Convention is for adapting the so-called poor children who are abandoned or those who are unable to be brought up by their parents. So Hague Convention is related to it. There is some chance of asking this question. What is the change? Remember, earlier it used to be the court which used to have the power to give permission for adoption. Now that court power was taken out and it was empowered for the district magistrate. So district magistrate, the collector of the district, is empowered to release the license for the so-called adoption process, and all the cases which are present before the courts will be looked after by the so-called district magistrate themselves. Right? Now, what they have did one thing that is called, there is one act in India called Juvenile Justice Act, and they are trying to amend this act because as per Juvenile Justice Act, section 61 gives power to the so-called the courts, right? By striking out these courts, now they are giving the powers to the so-called the district magistrates themselves, right? And additional district magistrate to issue adoption orders. Adoption orders can be issued by the so-called district magistrate themselves. So this is the thing. Remember what is Hague Convention, who is having the authority, district magistrate and additional district magistrate. G20, India is today, the G20, 17th G20 Heads of Summit is going to be held in Bali, Indonesia. The next one, summit will be hosted by India. G20, India is going to be the head of the G20 summit, that is 18th G20 summit. In this context, it is very important because earlier they asked what are the G20 countries. So remember what are the G20 countries? USA, Canada, USA, Mexico, Brazil and Argentina. There are 5 American countries: Canada, US, Mexico, Brazil and Argentina. Now France, UK, Germany, Italy, Russia. Remember this way: UK, France, Germany, Italy, Russia, 5 Eurasian countries. Japan, South Korea, China, India, Indonesia, Australia, 6 South Asian and Southeast Asian countries. Saudi Arabia, Turkey and South Africa. These 3 countries. So go in an order. So what is the better way to remember the countries? Go in an order. 5 countries: Canada, USA, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina this side, and then you have France, UK, Germany, Italy, Russia, and then Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, China, Australia. Very important question. They might ask this again. India, South Africa, Saudi Arabia. Earlier they asked this question and they said whether Singapore is a part of this or not. Singapore is a part. No one knows this. Turkey is a part of this. Saudi Arabia is a part of it. We don't expect these countries to be a part, but they are part. So just remember this. This is how this is important for prelims. Moving on. So it has been 2 years since Abraham Accord was signed. What is this Abraham Accord? This is recognition of the so-called the state of Israel. Now Arabs used to not recognize the state of Israel, but now they have started accepting this. This is called Abraham Accord. Now, who are the countries who signed this Abraham Accord? Egypt is the first country who recognized Israel. The second country is Jordan, and the third country is UAE. So Egypt, Jordan, UAE are the countries who remembered this or who accepted to this Abraham Accord. Remember, Abraham Accord is recognition of the so-called Israel state. Three countries: Egypt, Jordan, UAE. Next one. Keeping big technological companies in check. Now there is a term called safe harbor. UPSC might ask these type of questions. There is one term called safe harbor in the news. What is it related to? Now safe harbor is a provision which is available in the so-called US or in India to some e-technology or social media companies. What is the safe harbor provisions? This provides a harbor for the social media companies not to invite the so-called legal sanctions if something is posted in their channels by some unknown person. As social media is acting as intermediaries, they cannot be responsible to what is being posted on their channels and what is being circulated. This is being given by safe harbor provision. The safe harbor provision for social media is given by IT Act of 2000. However, recently the government of India is trying to remove this safe harbor, and they want to make social media intermediaries as responsible for whatever is happening on their social media. Right? They want to regulate it. As a result, they are removing this safe harbor. Nonetheless, where it is important, what is safe harbor? You have to remember this. CRISPR-Cas9 system. This is previous year question. 2 times they asked back to back. They asked back to back. So just remember what is CRISPR-Cas9 system. It is genome editing technology where you can remove a particular, you can edit a particular DNA, you can cut some sections of DNA and you can introduce a new DNA molecule into it. This is called CRISPR-Cas9. Cas9 is acting as a scissor. To cut this, you require a scissor, right? So what is the scissor? Cas9 is the molecular scissor. To cut that molecule, Cas9 acts as scissor, right? Now CRISPR will do the search operation. CRISPR molecules finds the precise location in the targeted DNA. Which part to cut, that will be located by CRISPR. Cas9 will cut it. So remember, this is used in genome editing. Qutub Shahi tombs. The government of Telangana recently has restored some old walls within this Qutub Shahi complex, which is located in Hyderabad. Now they wanted to revive it and they wanted to send it to the World Heritage City list, right? So for that they have did it. Now they might ask Qutub Shahis. Qutub Shahi dynasty ruled India from 1580 to 1687. 1500 to 1700, remember this approximately. Rulers of the kingdom of Golconda in the southern Deccan of India, right? One of the 5 successor states of Bahmani Sultani kingdom. So there were 5 states from Bahmani kingdom. One is the so-called Qutub Shahis. Qutub Shahis used to rule this area. Right? Now, next one is Cabinet approves addition of 4 tribes, very important tribes. Remember the tribes. 30 tribes from Himachal Pradesh, Nariko Ravar, Tamil Nadu, Kurivi Karan, Tamil Nadu, Nariko Ravan, Kurivi Karan from Tamil Nadu, Binjaya, Binjaya from Chhattisgarh. Remember the 4 tribes, by heart these 4 tribes, these are important. Further, in the goat category, they have listed some tribes. Goat categories is from Uttar Pradesh, Dhuria, Nayak, Oja, Patari, and Rajgad. No need to remember into this depth, at least remember goat tribes are from Uttar Pradesh. So these are the 4 tribes which were recognized or given the scheduled tribe status under Article 342 of Indian Constitution. 30 tribes from Himachal Pradesh, Nari Korovar and Kuri V Karan. Nari Korovar and Kuri V Karan from Tamil Nadu, Binjia from Chhattisgarh, Gonds from Uttar Pradesh. Very important, remember the tribes. Now how to include or exclude someone in the ST list? The first one is the process to include ST list or ST list starts with recommendations from the respective state government. It will be then sent to the Tribal Affairs Ministry. Then it will be reviewed by the Registrar General of India. If Registrar General of India is approving it, then it will be sent to the so-called National Commission for Scheduled Castes, Scheduled Tribes. Then it will send the list to the Cabinet for final decision. Then it will be included in the so-called Cabinet approves addition of 4 tribes as approved for this into the Scheduled Tribes. Then they will be introducing a bill in the Parliament. Then they will be passing the bill in the Parliament. Then they will be amending the so-called Scheduled Caste Order of 1950s, and then it will be assented by the President. This is how you have to approve. No need to go into that depth. This is for mains, but for prelims, 30 tribes, Nari Karovar, Kuriyavaran, and Binjia as well as God is important. Next, conciliation with all armed groups in the northeast. Now, there was tripartite agreement between the so-called Assam government, the central government, and government on some 8 armed tribals. Recent agreements are Bru-Riang agreement that has happened in the so-called Tripura. Remember, Bru-Riang, Bru families are located in Tripura. They got financial package. So Brus are in Tripura. How to remember? Brew coffee, right? So remember this is tea, Tripura. Brew coffee, coffee kadu, tea ani gurtupetukoni, brew will be for tea. Bodo Accord, Bodos are present in Assam. So they had one accord. Karbi Anglong is again present in Assam. Right, these two are present here. And recently there was this agreement, tripartite agreement. That is why they have given. Look at the states in the northeast: Arunachal Pradesh, map pointing, Assam, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Sikkim. Remember the state capitals. They might ask the borders also. Look at the map pointing. This is important here. Next one is moving further. Supreme Court quotes 3 questions test for the validity of 10% EWS quota. Now EWS quota was challenged in the Supreme Court, and that is being discussed by the Supreme Court of India. Now what are the things that is important for prelims here? The prelims important component is they will be asking about the so-called EWS quota itself. Now, how they have got this EWS quota? 103rd Constitutional Amendment provided for this, 103, remember that, and it made changes in which articles? Article 15, Clause 6, Article 16, Clause 6. They have made these changes. And the committee which recommended for this type of reservation for the so-called economically weaker sections is S.R. Sinha Committee. S.R. Sinha Committee has recommended it. 15, Clause 6, 16, Clause 6 are the changes which they have made. Article 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act has introduced this 10% reservation to economically weaker sections. This is what the topic is. The rest of the things will be for mains. As this is exclusively prelims, I am focusing on prelims. Just remember these things. Now, recently, Government of India has appointed SEBI Chief, Mr. Damodaran, to head the committee to boost private equity and venture capitals in investments. So private equity and venture capitals investment, to boost that, The committee headed by M. Damodaran is heading this. Now the thing is, what is private capital, what is private equity and venture capital. Now imagine if there is a person who wants to start a business. Now he requires money. Where he can go? He can go to the so-called stock market if his company is listed in the stock market. If his company is not listed in the stock market, he will be going to a bank. If the bank is rejecting, he will be looking for a person who will be interested to give that capital. Now this capital is being provided by some persons who are having money, and that persons will come and they directly invest here. Both are same. Private equities, venture capitalists. This person is called venture capitalist, and they will be giving the amount. And as this is a capital, they will be sharing the so-called partnership. It is like forming a partnership. Now what is this? Just to those companies who are not registered in the SEBI to get that amount in the stock markets, those who are not registered. So what they will do, they will go and get it from some investors directly, those who have having money. This is called venture capitalism and private equity. Rubber, one main question that they have asked this year. For prelims, you can expect this question this year again. Very important for prelims. Now, what is the thing that you have to study in rubber? The thing you have to study here for rubber is, recently this was in news because the farmers in Kerala are asking for some hikes in the so-called rubber market. Kerala accounts for nearly 75% of India's total rubber production. Remember this, Kerala. And South Indian states like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala are the top states who are having much amount of rubber here. Right? This is the thing. They might ask this location. South Indian states, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka are producing top most rubber producing states in the country. Now, India is in the global market. What is our status? India is currently the world's fifth largest in the world. India is the fifth largest producer of rubber. And it is the second biggest consumer of rubber. Not only producer, but we are also the second largest consumer of rubber in India. As a result, this thing is important. Now, about 40% of India's total rubber consumption is currently made through imports. Right? About 40% of rubber is made through our imports, because we are having the second largest consumption. Kerala accounts for nearly 75% of total production, which means, remember these three things: Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. You remember the border states here is producing, are known for producing of rubber. When you go for jute production, look at the states which are known for jute production. The states like Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Assam are known for the so-called jute cultivation. West Bengal, Bihar, they are known for jute, whereas it comes to rubber, these are the states. Now, what are the essential things that are required for production of rubber? Rubber is an polymer of isoprene, which is an organic compound. Organic compound is that compound which is made up of some carbon content, right? Carbon hydrogen bond, organic compounds. Now, this is first thing, isoprene, polymer of isoprene. Second thing is, it is grown in tropical trees. It is a tropical tree. Remember that. Next, for this plantation, it takes 32 years for these trees to come, and the soils which are required is lateritic soils, alluvial and sedimentary types of soils. Remember that. It requires 100 rainy days with a temperature of 20 degrees to 34 degrees, 20 to 34 degrees centigrade, 100 rainy days, and it requires 2000 hours of sunshine, which means almost 100 days of sunshine, right? Next, natural rubber is preferred over synthetic rubber due to its high tensile strength and damping properties, and tear resistance. They are resistant to tear. As a result, this is highly important, or this is having relevance in our studies. Remember this, very important. This year rubber is going to be asked in prelims. Remember this, the states properties. What is this properties? It is a 32-year plan. Next one is soils, is lateritic soils to alluvial sedimentary type. The third component is it requires a temperature range of about 20 to 35 degrees centigrade, humidity of around 2000 sunshine, which means 100 warm days. Next, it requires high tensile strength. Natural rubber has high tensile strength. India is the 5th largest producer in the world, 2nd largest consumer, but still 40% of total natural rubber is consumption is met with the so-called imports. Very important, remember that. Moving on, International Ozone Day. Now we have celebrated September 16th as International Ozone Day. So when it comes to this topic, the International Ozone Day, remember this, September 16th is National Ozone Day. Right. And next one is, the theme is Montreal Protocol at 35, because 2022 is marking as the 35 years of Ozone Day celebration. Now what is Montreal Protocol? This is the implementation of Vienna Convention of 1985. In 1987, Montreal Protocol has come into picture. Now what is the aim of this? To cut down the so-called ozone depleting substances, and this is the Montreal Protocol is the only treaty which is accepted by all the member states of United Nations, that is all the 198 member states, and it has come to domain from September 16th. As a result, it has achieved universal ratification on September 16, 2009. Hence, from that day onwards, September 16th is celebrated as International Ozone Day. It has to be understood that hydrofluorocarbons are not ozone depleting substances, but still we have banned them under this protocol. The reason is these are greenhouse gases. So they started not using this one also. Now in Kigali Agreement of 2016, they banned hydrofluorocarbons also, though they are not the so-called ozone depleting substances. Now what about ozone? Ozone is a highly reactive gas. 3 oxygen atoms are present here. It will be present in stratosphere, it will be present in troposphere. In stratosphere, it is safeguarding the earth from harmful ultraviolet radiations. It blocks ultraviolet radiations B, ultraviolet radiations C. It allows only ultraviolet radiations A to enter inside the earth, right? So only ultraviolet radiations A is entering. An international protocol that is called Montreal Protocol is highly successful. These are the things that you have to remember. So remember these things as far as ecology is considered. There is one more thing called sea cucumbers. Now it is said that sea cucumber, what is a sea cucumber? It is, don't think that it is something called a vegetable, but it is a larger animal group. This is a sea animal, marine animal, which is marine species, which is the largest, most trafficked sea animal. So most trafficked marine animal between 2015 and 2021, right? This was the highest trafficking is done in Tamil Nadu, right? Now the IUCN status of this sea cucumber is red, in the red list. There is brown sea cucumber. Brown sea cucumber is endangered. Sea cucumber is red list in IUCN. In IUCN red list, sorry, in the IUCN red list, it is in the endangered category, not critically endangered, it is endangered category, right? Remember this, this is endangered. So what is the thing? It is an animal group. In the IUCN red list, it is endangered. It is highly trafficked marine animal between the last 6 years, and Tamil Nadu has seen highest trafficking. Going further, come to the map pointing. Map pointing, every year UPSC is asking some questions. So let's look at the so-called the map pointing of Kazakhstan. Now why Kazakhstan is in news? This is in news because you have to study this under 2 contexts. What are the 2 contexts that we have to study? We have to study this under this context, that is called, in Uzbekistan there is one thing which is happening, that is called Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. You all know this. Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit is being held in Uzbek. and that is why they ask this thing. So what are the things that we have to study here? Remember, first thing is something Kazakhstan is in news. Recently, Kazakhstan's capital is earlier Astana. They changed it to Nur Sultan. They changed it to Nur Sultan, and now they are trying to rename its capital or change the name of its capital to Astana, back to Astana. So they earlier changed this capital name. They didn't change the place, they changed the name. Nur Sultan, now they wanted to bring back the old name itself, that is called Astana. So the capital of Kazakhstan is Astana. Remember this component. The second important thing is very important this year, the Uzbekistan borders, because the South Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit 2022 was conducted at Samarkand. Samarkand is a place in Uzbekistan. It is a city in Uzbekistan. As a result, Uzbek is very important current affairs this year. Right? Now, let's go to the history of medieval India. Babur and other Taimur princes, they were expelled from this area called Samarkand, and they reached India, and they have started the so-called the Great Mughal Empire in India after their exile from Samarkand. So that is why Samarkand is very important. So two things, Samarkand city is present in Uzbekistan. Babur and the other princes has come from Samarkand, and Samarkand is a capital, is a city in the so-called Uzbek. Now one more thing that we have to remember is the borders which are surrounding this state, that is called Uzbekistan. This is very important. Look at the borders of Uzbek. Uzbekistan is surrounded by Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and below this there is Iran. Right? UK, Kyrgyzstan. Sorry, this is not Iran, this is Pakistan. This is Pakistan, this is Afghanistan. One second. Now, let me come back. What are the borders of Uzbek? This is Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. So the borders of Uzbek is Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Pakistan. Borders is very, very important. You also remember this. There is one sea called Aral Sea which separates UK, that is Uzbek and Kazakh. So this is another important thing. So remember this, the sea which is separating or which is present between these two countries, that is called Uzbek and Kazakh is this one. So remember this, very, very important this year for the so-called map pointing. Moving on, the so-called Manasbal Lake. After 33 years, Manasbal Lake, which is present in the Jhelum Valley in the north of Srinagar, was opened for NCC candidates again. It is the deepest lake in India and is considered as one of the world's bird paradise. It is considered as the bird paradise of India. So after 33 years, they have opened it, and now it is very important. So remember, what is this Manasbal Lake? It is present in the Jhelum Valley in the north of Srinagar, and it is reopened. Where it is present, they will ask this question, so they might ask this thing. So let me continue in a while. So this is the thing about the so-called Manasbal Lake. Moving on, very important area again, the so-called Nagorno-Karabakh region. They will ask where this region is present in the so-called in your current affairs. Map pointing is very, very important. This year they will ask this question. So what is the question that they might ask? They are going to ask you where this location is present. Nagorno-Karabakh region. Now Nagorno-Karabakh is a region which is present in Azerbaijan. Now for this region, they are fighting. Now the majority of the Azerbaijanis are Armenians. Armenians are majority people who are located here and they are creating conflict here. Now they are asking that they have to have their own autonomy. As a result, autonomous dispute is being held here and it is being watched in this context. So this is important that you have to remember. So remember this area again, Nagorno-Karabakh. From the last 3 years, we are expecting that there will be a question, but there has been no question so far, but we can expect one question on this slide. Moving on further, let me continue further. What is the thing? Now this is for not prelims, this is for something called essay writing. You can use Bengaluru doctor runs 3 kilometers to beat the traffic to perform crucial surgery. Dedication to beauty. There is one officer known as Govind Nanda Kumar. Govind Nanda Kumar, both are same, okay? Govind Nanda Kumar has run 3 kilometers in a traffic jam situation to save a woman who is suffering from the so-called gastrointestinal problem, and this has saved the so-called that woman. So you can write this example in the so-called ethics whenever you are writing the so-called Govind Nanda Kumar has shown his dedication to work. Now Wonder on Wheels. Wonder on Wheels, there is one NGO called Free Thinking Foundation. Use this example, Free Thinking Foundation, where you can use NGOs. Free Thinking Foundation has started one cultural activity called taking the art and architecture towards Anganwadi children. So they wanted to imbibe art and architectural values of India inside Anganwadi children or into the Anganwadi children. As a result, NGO Free Thinking Foundation has started this. Again, the role of NGOs. One best thing that has happened is Yuvan Chaunyard, Yavan Chaunyard. This old man has dedicated all the share that he has in his company. Almost he has $3 billion share in his company and he has given to the earth. So what he has said, the company's profit will now go to fight the climate change. And he said that earth is now our only shareholder. I am not the shareholder, but earth is the shareholder. Now look at the so-called corporate social responsibility that he has and look at other companies. Whatever the amount that he has in one pen strike, he has said that I am going to give this to the so-called climate change. One best example of this man, look at the simplicity. He has that leadership capability. Look at the simplicity, right? Look at the pen. I think this is Reynolds pen, something like that, right? Struggle and perseverance, corporate ethics, right? You can write these things in the so-called examples for your answer writing itself. Further, how an IPS officer uses soft policing rather than using hard policing. An IPS officer known as Tejasvi Satpute, 2012 IPS officer, he has cracked down the so-called illegal hooch, not to Sara, illegal hooch, right? Through Operation Parivartan, he, he didn't impose a hard rule, but by Parivartan, by changing the minds of the people, by calling them, by counseling them, they have cracked down on 80% of the hard bodies. That is called Nadusara centers, right? He has they have broken down this, right? This is one thing that is exceptional for performing duty. The Hindu also carried cognitive dissonance component. Now, cognitive dissonance is a situation between two conflicting values. You will be having two conflicting values. You know two things. What to act is something which you are unable to take. For example, look at this. What is cognitive dissonance? You believe that smoking is unhealthy. But what you will be acting? You will be smoking the cigars. So this is the inconsistency belief between your thoughts and your beliefs. Right? You held a correct thing, but still you are going to smoke the cigar because your actions are unable to get stopped. This is called cognitive thinking. Now, so change action and change belief. The research on smoking is not conclusive. I continue smoking. So how you can overcome this cognitive dissonance? Either you have to change your belief. What is the belief? Cigarettes are harmful. That is what I believe. Now I have to change that thought. Okay, research is still going on to say whether cigarettes are harmful or not. So I will drop this belief. I'll go with action. Or change your thoughts. Change your action itself. What is that? Smoking is unhealthy. As a result, I quit smoking. So you take one decision uh, uh, and be resolved to that. So that is called cognitive dissonance in ethics. Ekalavya model schools. Now Government of India has started Ekalavya model schools to give education to the so-called the people who are located in the tribal areas. But this Ekalavya model school also has one concept called NEST concept, National Education Society. They have started a society. The government itself has started NEST society to recruit teachers who will train in this, who will give training in this Ekalavya schools. But despite this, they still have teachers shortage. Teacher shortage is hugely present despite NEST. So this you can write in some case studies. Right. Further, Global Congress of Victims of Terrorism. The first UN Global Congress on victims of terrorism was held recently. So what is this? The first UN Global Congress on Victims of Terrorism. They called the victims to the United Nations and they asked them to share their stories. So this is the first UN conference which was held. Not much important, but you can use this in some answer writing. So in parallel context, India has initiated Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism, CCIT, Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. It is yet to be accepted by the UN body. So India has started to act against terrorism way back in 1997 itself, where it has propounded CCIT, but this is still staying in the so-called United Nations itself. This is still not considered by United Nations. However, so victims conference was held by United Nations for the first time. Moving further, this is the thing that we have. So this is the first week thing. So thank you for making your time and listening to us. This is our thing that is called Dhanush. Do it now, right? Just do it now. Crack this in the immediate attempt and move on from here to your goals that you have set. So with this, I take a move, and with this, I complete the so-called today's or this week's Sapthamruth. Let's wait for the next week's Sapthamruth. Thanks for joining. Have a nice day.